Welcome back to Frog's Reviews, folks. So, what am I going to review today? Well, let's see. We have Jurassic World Rebirth just came out, and not doing so good. Yeah, go figure. So, I'm probably not going to go see it in the theaters. Superman just came out, and, well, it's surprisingly doing, well, some people are saying it's doing really good. I'll probably go see it next week. So, should I do a Superman movie? No! Ironically enough, I just saw the trailer for the new Red Sonja film, which I had no idea they were remaking a Red Sonja film. Yeah, let's just hope it goes better than the Conan the Barbarian movie. Well, let's see. What film am I going to review today? Oh, I know. How about a film that actually starts off, that actually was originally supposed to be a horror film, part of a horror film franchise, that became an action-adventure franchise that spawned a massive franchise, and well, I actually used the word franchise a couple of times for fun stuff. But think about this. A movie that's film franchise belonged into the realm of horror, but now is part of an action-adventure franchise that many people want there to be a sequel to this day. Yeah. A film that wasn't promised to be a huge hit, but became a spectacular hit. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a look at 1999's The Mummy.
Trust.
So the basic gist is that the movie is actually told originally in flashback from the past segment where we're introduced to Imhotep, Pharaoh Seti the First, and his woman, the priestess Hamunaptra. Anax to the moon, and no other man was allowed to touch her. Except Imhotep and her have been having a relationship for God knows how long. I'm sorry, I meant to say Ra knows how long. Sorry, I keep getting the mythological lores confused. So eventually the Pharaoh finds out, and Anax to the moon and Imhotep both kill him. And, well, the Pharaoh's personal bodyguards called the Magi actually try to stop them, but they're a little too late. Imhotep actually escapes the city, and Anax to the moon kills herself, so she can be resurrected by Imhotep. So after she dies, Imhotep broke into her tomb, stole her body, and raced all the way through the desert to the forbidden city, the city of the dead, called Hamunaptra. Hamunaptra, for many, is actually the Atlantis of the Egyptian world, because it was confirmed that the city itself had existed, but nobody knows where it is. Now, why is that? We're going to find out. So Imhotep actually gets the sacred Black Book of the Dead, and thus begins the ceremony to resurrect Anax to the moon. Now, her soul did. Now, through the questionable 90s CGI back then. And, okay, I really shouldn't be bragging too much about the CGI stuff. I mean, it was the late 90s, and it was the best they could do at the time. But you know what? If they actually ever do a special edition of the movie, I can see them trying to fix the effects up. I mean, yeah, seriously, I mean, if anything, they could just fix the effects up. But it's a piece of film history, so I'm not going to fix it up. But it was a good effort of them, right? It was a wishful thinking. But before they could finish the ceremony, the Magi actually followed Imhotep and his men and stopped him before the ritual could be complete. And Anax to the moon's soul goes right back into the underworld. And we do get somewhat of a horror aspect of this movie a little bit, though, but it's only sort of a brief thing, and it's... Okay, keep this in mind, this is actually based on a horror franchise. It's based on a horror franchise, and they had to show some of the horror elements into it, though, but it's like, it just comes up out of nowhere half the time. And, okay, So Imhotep and his men are buried alive, but on Imhotep they condemn him to the Hamdai, the worst of all Egyptian curses. How is it the worst? Well, his soul will never rest easy, and if he were to resurrect, he will be more powerful than anything else in him before. Time out. What was that last part? He will be more powerful than anything else. He will bring them the 10 plagues of Egypt and be completely invincible. How is that a curse? Dude, that's basically God mode. Are you shitting me? Who the fuck came up with this? Anyway, the title pops up, and we cut into the early 1920s, where we see the French Foreign Legion actually at Hamunaptra, ready for a battle against the Muslim insurgents. I'm assuming they are. Well, okay, I'm not saying they are actual Muslim insurgents, but to be fair, they are people of the desert, and most of the religion out there is mostly Islamic or Jewish, or also Egyptian, give or take the history. But yeah, and here's the thing: most of them are supposed to be Muslim, so whatever. Anyway, we get to see our main hero. Rick. Yes, Rick O'Connell, played by George of the Jungle himself, Brendan Fraser. And you know what? He's one of the best things that's in this fucking movie. Seriously, he is just a national treasure of sorts. Am I right or what? So yeah, and he's accompanied by his asshole, the whole movie, Benny. Why am I calling him the asshole? Honestly, if Joe ever gets back, Benny would definitely be a contender for the A-list. So that's one of the reasons why. He's a sniveling little coward who actually tries to befriend a lot of people, only to stab them along the back. But, yeah. So we get to see a glorious gun battle between the Legion and the insurgents, and it's a pretty cool looking battle sequence, but it goes back and forth a little bit though. It's not as an intensive battle sequence like you usually see like you saw in Saving Private Ryan from the year prior. But hey, that movie broke all boundaries, and it actually gave World War II veterans the notice they deserve. It gave them the respect and notice and honor they deserved. Actually, now that I said that out loud, I probably should review Saving Private Ryan one of these days. Anyway, eventually Benny actually leaves Rick to die. Rick actually defends himself in, I say, somewhat a semi-hilarious way, because after his gun, he's using a bolt-action rifle, bang, holding bullets in his mouth, and being a real badass action hero. Bang! Bang! Guns up, pulls out 2 revolvers, bang, 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 empties. Pulls two service, pulls out 2 Colt 1911s, bang, 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 bang. He just keeps. It's sort of a funny way how it just keeps going like that, though. It would have been really hilarious if the pistols ran out of ammo, and he just pulled a shotgun out of his ass. That would have been hilarious. Actually, if that did happen, I would have died laughing, because that would have been beyond hilarious. Okay, but all joking aside, he does actually want to be quartered by the insurgents, where, of course, it's actually right by the statue of Anubis. And here's the thing. When they actually buried Imhotep, they actually buried him under the base of Anubis, and ironically, Rick is actually close to the area where he was buried. So something happens, it spooks the horses, the insurgents run away, and Imhotep's face actually appears in the sand after Rick leaves, which is done in CGI. I can see how this was kind of like a scary thing back then, but looking at the effects now, it's like, it's heavily dated. And we see the narrator of the movie, Ardeth, a Magi soldier by the name of Ardeth. So he and his men watch Rick leave, and they're contemplating maybe they should kill him. No, the desert will take care of him. Up to 3 years later, we meet Evie, who basically makes a huge mess. She's a librarian, and she makes a huge mess of a library in Cairo, in a ridiculous comedic fashion that also came back in the sequel. That was fan service, and also people were like, why the fuck did I do this? Okay, it was basically a domino effect. She tried. She was on one side of she was on top of the bookshelf, on top of the bookshelf with the ladder. Like, okay, here, and over here. Oh, it's over here. The ladder. I don't know how this happened, but the ladder just goes here. Oh, and he topples all the way over, and okay, she topples onto the bookshelf, and the bookshelf is all this domino effect. The look of the curator, when the curator comes in, he's like, the look on his face says it all. Like, you know what? For extra effort of having an accident, that is above and beyond. It's like the first 15 minutes of the movie, we see some of the most ridiculous shit ever. However, he does actually scold her, but he gives her a little uplifting advice and the fact that her mother and father were actually the greatest patrons to the museum. That's why he puts up with her. And, well, he does tell her to straighten up. She goes to the museum exhibit of the library where the mummies are, and her brother Jonathan happens to be there. Jonathan is actually played by John Hamm. No, I'm sorry, not John Hamm, but Jonathan Hanna, who you may remember from the show Spartacus, what I'm saying. And I'm just going to say this, though. While he's completely hilarious in this film series, he is a mean bastard in this series. And all I can say is, he's awesome in this series, too. But that's a completely different story altogether. And will I cover the Spartacus franchise? Well, considering the fact they actually come out with another series recently, I'm not exactly happy about that. But honestly, I only got got the whole thing of Spartacus, so Blood Sand, Gods of the Arena, Vengeance, and War of the Damned. So that's more than enough for me. Like, was the last one War of the War of the Damned. Good enough for me. Hey, John cheers up Evie by giving her a bit of an ancient Egyptian puzzle box. But here's the thing: if you remember watching the beginning portion of the movie, it's actually the key that was used to lock up Imhotep's coffin, and the same thing that was used to open up the books in the ancient Egyptian world. And it also contained a map to Hamunaptra. So Evie brings it to the curator of the museum, to the main librarian. And they go back and forth on the subject, but he accidentally burns the map off where the city is. It's for the best. Everybody who wants to look for Hamunaptra has disappeared. So I wouldn't suggest going to look for it. And well, Evie is determined to look for it. So what do? They go to a Cairo prison where they actually find the person who. Because it turns out John said he actually got it from. John actually gets the puzzle box from a dig in Thieves. But nope, he actually stole it off of a bar patron. Who was that bar patron? It was our hero, Rick O'Connell. And what does Rick do exactly when he actually meets John? Oh, yep, whacks him. Mainly because of the fact he had it coming. Anyway, Evie tells them that they want to go to the place where the map actually led to. And he says, no, you're asking me to go to Hamunaptra, and the answer is no. They're a little bit shocked that he said Hamunaptra, but they wonder why he said that. He said, people, that's where I was when I found the damn box. Are you kidding me? So yeah, he admits he went to Hamunaptra years ago, and he doesn't want to tell the location. With a little banter back and forth, and he actually kisses Evie to encourage her. He says to get him the hell out of there, and he'll take them to Hamunaptra. And well, he is actually later hanged, unfortunately. And bit of a fun fact here: they actually did hang Brendan Fraser in this movie, though, and the safety harness actually did break, but he actually held on as long as he could before he almost passed out. So the effect is extremely real. So he was actually choking to death. So yeah, dude, seriously. But after they were done shooting it, though, he walked stuff like it was nothing. I give Brendan Fraser the heart to give him the credit where credit's due. He did his own stunts in this movie too. He barely even used a stunt double. I got a feeling I should probably do Looney Tunes Back in Action, but that's a story for a different day. But anyway, Evie convinces convinces the warden that he knows where Hamanoptera is. The warden decides to go along with them, and they actually sail up to go onto a boat and sail onwards. On the boat ride, they actually found out John meets a couple of Americans, and of course the an Egyptologist who are also going to Hamanoptera too. It's like, why are they going to Hamanoptera? It's like, because they have somebody who's been there before. So, right. So they place a little wagering bet with John and Rick. So they agree. And Rick spends some time with Evie, talking a little bit why she wants to go. She's looking for the book of Amun-Ra, the golden book of Amun-Ra. That's purely made of gold, but has all the secrets of ancient Egypt. And while she's basically telling him all that, Rick actually opens his bag and just gets all of his guns ready. I mean, seriously, that's all he's doing. He's just basically like, oh, okay, sure. Okay. And the fact that it's made out of pure gold means no, never mind you. Alright. Good enough. So you do know about ancient Egyptian culture. Actually, I know my treasure. You sly bastard. You sly bastard. Hey, why did you kiss me? Well, I was about to be hanged. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Wow. Dick move. Wow. But yeah, I can see how that would actually work. Anyway, Rick comes along and comes across Benny. Oh, our favorite little asshole Benny. So he's the one leading the Americans out to the desert. And so what does Rick do? What does good old Rick do? He throws them overboard. Yeah, it's like, come on, Benny. Whee! Although, ironically, when he did that, he actually noticed something. There's water footprints all over the deck. And he looked over the side where he caught Benny over, and he noticed there's actually a boat there. So, yeah, it turns out the Magi are actually trying to stop this whole thing from happening. So the Magi sent some assassins to stop them, and a huge fight breaks out. So, the map is destroyed in the process, though. But Evie, but of course, the guy with the hook, who's the leader, is actually asking for the key, and Evie has no idea what the hell he's talking about, though. Well, it wasn't until much later she finds out exactly what he was talking about, though. But eventually, the guy with the hook gets the key, and John actually wants to state stealing it from the guy. So yeah, there's a fire breaks out, and there's a massive gunfight between the Magi and the sailor and the people on board the ship. And okay, so Rick, John, and Evie go overboard, and the warden who's still following, who's with them this whole way, he goes up to Rick and is like, oh, "What do we do? Wait here! Oh, well, he goes overboard, and the warden just sits there. It's like, I'm waiting. Oh. How stupid! Okay, seriously, how stupid you have to be? Because I mean, okay, he jokingly said, "Right here, I'll go get help," and he just waits there, like an idiot. Oh. I know this movie actually has like a good amount of comedic elements, but that little portion right there was just like, seriously, what? Oh wow! So eventually they do make it over. So they make it away from the boat with the Saints, but they're on two. Anyway, Benny's team and Rick's team are on opposite sides of the river, and he yells, "Hey, O'Connell!" I go, "The horse is." "Oh, really, Benny? That's nice to know. But you're on the wrong side of the river." Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there's that. Eventually, they do make it to Hamanoptera, and as far as the bet goes, yeah, Rick's team wins. So they get to Hamanoptera, and of course, the Egyptologist questions Evie's knowledge on Egyptian culture. He goes, they're following a woman. What does a woman know? Well, fun fact is that Evie knows practically everything. Yeah, she's yeah, it turns out they won't let her into they won't actually make her into a full scholar because she's a woman. Yeah, it's the 1920s. Sexism was at the rise back then. So yeah. Anyway, they actually make their way through into the tunnel system, and they actually find the base of Anubis underground. And of course, the Americans get there too, and they basically push, actually want them to leave. There's a bit of a standoff here and there. But Evie happens to notice there's actually a small compartment underneath them. So she convinces John and Rick to go down there with her, so they can actually try to dig up the book of Amun-Ra. From underneath the Americans, from underneath the Americans. And when the Americans diggers actually are trying to go through that, well, they try their best to open up the compartment, and they hit a trap, which is pressurized salt acid. And this is one of many problems they actually had with ancient Egyptian movies. But it's a question you need to ask: why was it there? Why? Oh, and where's the warden? Oh, he went out to go look for some treasure himself. Because apparently Hamunaptra actually contains all the ancient treasure of ancient Egypt. That's great. No, except no one knows where the fuck it was this whole time. Now they have an idea where the hell it is. They don't know where the hell the damn treasure is. So eventually, the warden actually finds his wall with blue scarabs all over it, though, and figures, blue gold, a fine price. And it turns out it wasn't blue gems or anything. They were actually hiding actual scarabs. So yeah, one of the things actually hatches open, goes into the warden's body, and it crawls up his leg into his chest, and it goes right into his brain, driving and basically eating his brain from the inside out. And during this time, Evie and Rick and Jonathan are taking a break from trying to dig up top, and while Jonathan's is actually working on his golf swing, the sarcophagus that Imhotep actually happened to be, it just drops in. And they make it and of course, while they're examining the thing, they're examining the sarcophagus, they're shocked to even find out there was even one at the base of Anubis to begin with. And also, there was a locking mechanism on it. There's a locking mechanism on it. So there's no way to open it. But Evie's like, wait a minute. A key. That's what the man on the boat, the man with the hook, he said he was looking for a key. Wait, the puzzle box? What's that to do with anything? Chink. Chink. That's a fucking key the whole time. You gotta be shitting me. Wow. They hear the warden screaming, and they find the warden as he runs right into a wall and basically smashing his head into the wall, killing himself instantly. Yeah, it was the only one to stop the pain permanently. So later on that night, they actually reconcile and try to relax for a bit, though, and that's when the Magi showed up again. Yeah, another gunfight ensues, and this time, however, Ardeth is actually leading them this time around, but of course he stops them when Rick pulls out a stick of dynamite. Yep, as the thing's sizzling down, he's like, enough! We will shed no more blood. But you must leave here. Leave here or die. You have one day. And they just up and leave. Well, that was weird. Throws the fuse away. So, the Americans are assuming that there is definitely treasure there, but Rick is notices that they were actually there to drive them away for a different reason. Because, in Rick's opinion, there's definitely some type of evil in Hamunaptra. He doesn't know what it is yet, but he knows there's something wrong there. And they know it too. And the Magi definitely know it too. So the next day, the Americans actually find a small container that has a curse on it, though. But the diggers and Benny are actually warning them not to open the box, and of course they get freaked out, and so they leave. The warning is that whoever actually is in the area, is in the room when this box is open, there's one who is dead who will become undead, and he will absorb the life energy from the ones who open the box. How is this the curse again? Seriously, how is this a curse? I mean, seriously. Meanwhile, as that's happening, Evie, Rick and John actually open up an Imhotep sarcophagus, and they're a little bit horrified because they actually see that his mummy skeleton is still, well, to quote what they said, it's still juicy. I mean, it's still completely decomposing. It's not dried up or anything. It is still like gooey as all hell. But after closer examination inside the sarcophagus, they realized he was buried alive, and he wrote something that said death was only the beginning. It's like, okay, maybe we should probably seal this thing back up then, right? No, we're not going to seal it back up? No. How are the Americans doing? They open up the book, they open up the container, and they find not the Golden Book of Amun-Ra, but the Black Book instead. The Book of the Dead. Okay, first off, the scholars said that the Black Book should be at the base of Anubis, but yet it wasn't there. Okay, what the fuck? So, question. Okay, so the Book of the Dead actually has the ability to raise the dead, right? Yes, that's what. Then why'd you leave it right next to the guy that you condemned to with a curse that makes him a literal god? What were you guys thinking? It's part of our culture or something? Okay, that's a bunch of... We're going to have a serious talk after this. We're going to have a serious talk after this. Anyway, Evie makes a discovery about who this person was and what the curse was that was used on Imhotep. They don't know what his actual name was. But eventually, she actually takes the book. She actually gets the book away from the Egyptologist and opens it up because apparently you need the key to open up the damn book. So, okay, she reads in one of the first passages, which of course actually wakes up Imhotep. And of course, one of the first plagues actually comes in and it freaks everybody out, and they all head right back into the tunnel system. Back into the tunnel system. Meanwhile, the Americans actually are with the diggers. Some of the diggers actually get killed in the process. But either way, they were extras, so they get killed. It's like, oh, we're extras in an action adventure film that's also a horror film with a monster in it. Okay, I'm just signing my check here and like, okay, so I want to make sure I have money in my bank before I get killed off. All right, let's do this. So yeah, Benny actually. So yeah, we have the the two Americans actually run away, but one of them actually has glasses and the glasses actually break, and he's very badly nearsighted. Although with me, I actually can see what the hell I'm doing. So even though it's mostly blurry, but I can actually see what the fuck I'm doing. But either way, got some new glasses too. In case you guys didn't realize it. Yeah, my old ones broke last week, so I got some new ones from Walmart. And to be fair, the following scene, even though this was originally based as a horror film, the following scene is actually kind of scary because we're seeing it through this guy's perspective. His name, by the way, the guy's name is Burns. Of course, he's actually, like I said, he's severely badly nearsighted, right? So he can barely see anything. So, but we're seeing things through his vision, and it's actually pretty scary. And not to mention, we do see the mummy. We actually see Imhotep, but he's actually in a further distance, but he's blurred out, and it's actually kind of freaky. The music's pretty creepy, and all we hear is Imhotep's breathing, and so it's like, yeah, this is really creepy. And so we actually see it cuts, and we see Burns actually screams his lungs out, but we don't see what happened to him until Evie eventually finds him. What happens? His eyes and tongue were ripped out, and we see Imhotep in CGI mummy form. So he actually looks at Evie and he says, "I'm not to the moon," and he says he wants to use her because she's making him think about Knox to the moon. Eventually, Rick and the others do find her. I was like, Evie, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you looking at? And so, okay, I know this is supposed to be originally a horror film, but with Brendan Fraser, he's making this movie work out better than expected. So, okay, Imhotep just roars at him. So what is I'll keep this in mind. Rick has a shotgun with him, so what does he do? Yeah. So yeah, Imhotep just stumbles and like, stop. So they do make it out of the tunnels, and Arneth is there with the Egyptologist, and he tells them to leave. They leave. All right, and they actually did find Burns, and they actually got him away from Imhotep, though. But the Americans thought they did something to him, but no, it was Imhotep. So yeah, Arneth tells them to leave because they have unleashed the monster they feared for centuries. So without any more arguments, they do actually eventually leave. Benny is still lost down there, and he does run into Imhotep eventually, though. And Benny is a very superstitious little bastard. He's a cowardly, superstitious little bastard. So he gets across and starts praying, and of course doesn't do shit. Okay. He pulls up an icon for the Muslim religion. He starts praying in Muslim. Does absolutely nothing. He pulls up a Buddhist icon and starts. I would say he was actually speaking Thai, but the closed caption said he was speaking complete gibberish. So clearly he didn't know what the fuck he was saying. But then Benny pulls up something that did save his own ass. He pulls up the Star of David and starts speaking Hebrew. And of course, Imhotep just realizes he's speaking Hebrew. So, and if you know anything about ancient Egyptian mythology, the Hebrews, aka the people of the Jewish descent back then, were the slaves of the Egyptians. So that saved his life. Like, language of the slaves. I could use. Oh, trust me, you will be rewarded. He pulls out gold to actually entice Benny to actually work for him. And so Benny now works for Imhotep. They do make it the way to Cairo, where of course everybody's getting ready to leave Cairo to get the hell out and get the hell away from Egypt as far as they can. But eventually Benny actually reaches Burns and actually puts him in a sit down with Imhotep, so Imhotep can actually suck him dry. At the bar while they're waiting for the damn, having a couple of drinks, Rick runs into an old war buddy called Winston, who actually used to be a pilot for the Air Force during the First World War. So he actually heads back to the airfield. They have a couple of drinks, and they all spit out their drinks. Everybody in the whole bar spits out their drinks. Like, jeez, what the hell's wrong with the whiskey? He's thinking it was. But Rick looks at the bar and looks at the water fountain, and it's actually spewing out blood. Although it's a really bad effect. Although it's a really terrible practical effect, it was just red. It looks like red wine water. So yeah. Once Rick realizes that it's one of the curses, it's like, he's here. So he finds Evie and another curse where fireballs start spewing down from the sky, which is one of the other curses. And of course, they run into Benny again. And they hear Imhotep roaring in the background. So Benny runs away, and they go up there. They actually go up there and find Imhotep regenerating himself, and they find the corpse of Burns completely sucked dry. And what does Rick do? We are in serious trouble. He pulls out his guns and starts shooting at Imhotep, and then he pushes him away. Imhotep is about to kiss Evie, and then we see something that was actually kind of funny. Well, to be fair, this is kind of funny. Alright, so he sees a small, cute cat, and he screams and runs out the freaking window in dust format. It's like, that was weird. So they actually head down to the library to actually get some more information about what they're dealing with, and they find Ardeth is actually there too. So it turns out that the librarian is actually one of the main leaders of the Magi. It's like, what's Ardeth? Gentlemen, I see you guys are okay now. What is he doing here? Oh, this man's Ardeth. Yeah, we work together with the Magi. I'm sorry. Do you want us to explain? You want me to explain everything, or are you just going to sit there and stand there and just shoot us? You know what? After everything we just went through, I want to hear everything. So he basically tells him everything about who Imhotep was and what he did and everything, and also tells him about the curse and everything. But Evie drops a bombshell and tells him about Knocks to the Moon, and of course they came up with the conclusion that Imhotep wants to still complete the ritual again, and he actually chose Evie as the human sacrifice. So Rick and John actually keep Evie and the Americans actually held up at the fort while they actually go around looking for the Egyptologist, because they had to look for him before Imhotep finds him. So while this is happening, they do find Benny is actually in the Egyptologist's place, trashing it, and then they run. Of course, Rick interrogates him. Eventually, he escapes out the window, and they run into Imhotep outside, where he found the Egyptologist and drained them dry in front of everybody. He releases another curse, and then they run back to the fort. And of course, one of the Americans actually goes down to the bar to go get something to drink, while the other one stays right by with Evie, who's in the next room sleeping, and he gets killed by Imhotep by getting sucked dry for a pretty stupid reason. Imhotep actually does wind up kissing Evie, where of course Rick busts down the door and says, "Hey, get your ugly face off her." And of course, Imhotep charges at Rick, and then he goes, "Hey, that's something for you." He's holding the cat up, and he's like, "Wait, shit, out the window." Pretty funny though. Yeah, it's smart, but also pretty damn funny at the same time. You gotta give him some credit for that one, man. So they head back to the museum. So they head back to the library and actually looking for more information about where the tablet was. They actually explained where the Imhotep about everything about the Hamanoptera first and about the books. And it turns out that the scholars who translated it got everything wrong. So it turns out the Black Book was actually in the Nubis, but where's the Golden Book? It's actually in the statue of Horus, which is on the other side of Hamanoptera. Way to go, dumbasses! While that's happening, Imhotep actually comes in with an army of enslaved soul. Yeah, everybody who was actually in the town was now infected by Imhotep's evil, and now they're actually working with him. They're his slaves. So they come barging in, they race out, and of course they race down Cairo, where of course Rick and the others are gunning them all down, and they lose the last American guy, which of course Imhotep sucks him dry. Yeah, he just sucks him dry completely, but it's all off camera, so we don't exactly see it though. Imhotep makes his way to the others. He's asking for Evie, and he wants Evie. So Evie voluntarily goes with him. Benny grabs Benny grabs the key to go along with it because Imhotep actually grabbed the Black Book from the Egyptologist. So Imhotep tells everyone to kill the remaining survivors. The Egyptian librarian stays behind to make sure everybody gets away, and of course he gets killed off camera. At this point, Rick, Ardith, and John actually go find Winston, and of course Winston agrees to actually fly him over to Hamanoptera. So, look, mind you, is this extremely dangerous? Yeah, it's very dangerous. What's that have to do with the Majesty's service? Not a damn thing. Is it dangerous to the point where I might get killed? So everybody else we ran into is going to die. Actually died. Why not you? Let's see. What's the challenge so far? Pretty much usual. Beat the bad guy, save the damsel in distress, save the world. Winston, how about your service, sir? Seriously? Anyway, we finally get to Hamanoptera again, where we see a sand tornado drop off Evie and Benny. Yeah, the tornado is actually Imhotep. Anyway, the tornado bumps up into Imhotep, and he actually sees an airplane which carries Rick, John, Winston, and Ardith. Fun fact, Jonathan and Ardith are both on the wings, holding on to dear life like, Okay, wait a minute. How did this go from a horror film to the Three Stooges comedy sketch real quick? How the hell did that happen? Actually, no, joking aside, the Three Stooges actually did do an entire feature-length film based on The Mummy, and it was completely full of slapstick humor. That would have been awesome. Oh wait, they actually did several shorts like that. I gotta watch the Three Stooges again. Anyway, Imhotep is actually annoyed, so he sets up an entire sand wall to go right after him, and his face emerges from the sand and swallows the entire plane whole. Anyway, Rick, John, and Ardith are freaking out, and what's Winston doing? It's like, crazy. Well, hey, give me a break. I'm an old man who's actually having survivors report. So yeah, I'm a little crazy right now. I get to go out like a man by a powerful mummy. Enough. Okay. So Evie kisses Imhotep to distract him, but it's a little too late because the plane already got damaged, so it crashes into a sand pit. So Ardith and John are actually let down by Rick. Ardith actually grabs the machine gun off the plane because they'll probably need it. And trust me, they are going to need it eventually. So Rick turns on Winston, and he's dead. Yeah, he goes out like a man. Yeah, he died. Yeah, he died from the excitement. And then the whole thing just sinks into quicksand. It just came up out of nowhere. It's like, okay, weird. So they make their way back into Hamanoptera. They go deep into the temple. Back at Hamanoptera in general, Evie and Benny and Imhotep actually make their way into the temple of into the realm, into like the temple of the dead, where the ritual took place 3,000 years ago. So he sets everything up. And of course, John and Ardith are actually digging out some rubble. And like John's actually commenting on them, and I'm like, "Oh, no, you gotta take that part over there. Come on, put your back to it." Anyway, they just stop and look at him like this. Yeah. Okay. Never mind, you're fine. He finds one of the blue scarab things on the wall, and the same thing almost happened to him or happened with the Warren, but Rick and Ardith actually caught it in time. But Rick actually pulls it out with a knife, and he shoots it. The gunshot actually was heard throughout the entirety of Hamanoptera. So basically, so Imhotep casts a spell, and his priests actually start coming out of the walls and the ground. He tells them to actually go find the intruders and kill them, and to wake up the others. So, anyway, our three heroes actually venture further into Hamanoptera. They find themselves inside of a big open temple. They don't know where the hell it is. What the hell is in there? Rick's just one of the light fixture things trying to get trying to light the whole room up, and it's the treasure room. It's a massive, I shit you not, a National Football League field-sized room filled with treasure. It is massive. They're like, holy shit, that's all the gold. I mean, seriously, even though it's like mostly CG, but dude, they made this room look like it was massive. Like, it's gotta be like maybe two, not even an entire football field. It's gotta be like 2 to 3 football fields. What I mean by that, I'm talking about NFL football fields. Have you ever been to an NFL football game? Yeah, that's big. So, as they make their way through the treasure room, John's like, can you see? Yep, I can see. Can you believe? Yep. You just know. Oh, come on, you just know. Anyway, Imhotep's priests start coming out of the ground, and I do like O'Connell's reaction here. Like, who the hell are these guys? They're priests. Imhotep's priests. Oh, okay then. Okay, fine. That's a great response. Like, who are these guys? Yeah, they're the enemy's priests. Oh, shoot them! Bang, bang, bang. Great response there. So they basically try to gun their way. So they try gunning most of these guys down. Then he actually makes his way to the treasure room, and we get a bit of a side joke with Benny at this point, where he's actually taking sacks of gold out of the Hamanoptera vault onto the camels, and it's okay. This whole thing's supposed to be taken as a serious action scene, but when they come to the scenes with Benny, it's just pure comedy gold at this point. Anyway, Evie wakes up. Was unconscious for a little while. She wakes up. She finds she's right next to the Moon's corpse. So yeah. Anyway, our heroes actually do find the statue of Horus, and they actually try digging their way out. They try to open the damn thing up. Rick actually closes one of the entrances via bomb, via old Three Stooge sketch, which was literally tossed into this movie. Like, here, take the shotgun. Okay, fine. He gives Ardith the shotgun. He pulls out a light. He pulls out a piece of dynamite, takes the match off Ardith's neck. The fuck? Three Stooge gag. Okay. Well, anyway, they actually dig their way out of the thing, but there are a couple of deleted scenes in this movie. Some of them probably should have not been deleted, but whatever. There's like one semi-comedian moment though during a serious scene when they're actually walking through a field of dead bodies. That was actually earlier in the movie before they reached the Hamanoptera. You hear Rick going like, "Hey, you know that guy? He actually owed me money." Dick. And one of the other deleted scenes actually happens in the middle of this whole thing. And it may explain why Rick actually has a bandage on his hand for the rest of the end of the movie. which is a little weird. But again, I really have to ask this question: the fuck were these people? The fuck were the ancient Egyptians thinking back then with these traps? They were like fucking ridiculous. I mean, seriously, what if their ancestors wanted to rebuild everything, and like, okay, they wanted to actually fix them and actually lift the cursor and something, though, and they had these traps all over the place. What the fuck were they thinking? Answer: they weren't thinking clearly back then. Anyway, the actual deleted scene goes like one of the other entrances to the temple room where they're actually at. Artist is actually gunning down as many of the zombie priests as he can. Anyway, two other mummy priests come out of the ground, actually throw Rick and John away. They actually try to open up the compartment, and like the other one, it was filled with compressed salt acid. That's the deleted. Anyway, that's actually the deleted scene, and part of the acid actually hit Rick's hand, which explains why he has a bandage on it for the rest of the movie. But again, why was the scene deleted? I have no idea. And also, I wanted to ask, what was up with the Egyptians and these stupid traps? I mean, they need to get that damn book to actually stop the curse. What the fuck were they thinking? You know what would have been really hilarious? If it turns out that the actual curse, the Hum-Dai curse, wasn't really a curse at all. It was actually a spell that actually didn't make the person be a god, though. And the big twist ending was that Imhotep actually actually cursed himself so he would become a god when he gets back. That would have been a really good twist, and that would explain everything. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, Arthur runs out of ammunition and actually charges at the mummies and tells Rick and John to actually destroy him, to save Evie and kill Imhotep. So Jonathan actually grabs takes the book with him, and he actually distracts Imhotep real quick because Imhotep actually does do the ritual, and Anox of the Moon's soul actually returns into the mummy's body, and he's about to stab Evie, and then Jonathan distracts him. While that happens, Rick actually grabs the sword when nobody's looking, and he fights off Imhotep's priests in a creative fight scene, which is actually not that bad. And again, gotta give Brendan Fraser a lot of credit. He did the majority of his own stunts, and that's why we love him. And actually, and the fighting does get a little semi-comical in one way, but it's a pretty decent action sequence. They mostly use CG and practical effects in some of these shots, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, Jonathan tries reading off the golden book. There has to be like maybe something they could probably use because they actually need the key, and Imhotep actually has the key inside of his robe. So John actually starts reading parts of a scripture that's actually on the book, and mummified warriors come walking right out and get ready for fighting. They're like, seriously? This keeps getting better. Evie yells at John to finish reading the scripture, because he can control them. It's like, wait, are you serious? I can control these guys? Ow! Finish the scripture, you idiot! Then you can control them. And I go, so he goes off hiding, so Imhotep can't find him. And at this time, Rick is actually about to protect Evie from the soldiers, but Anox of the Moon's corpse actually grabs the sacrificial dagger and tries to stab Evie. So Evie's running away from Anox of the Moon's mummy, and the soldiers actually want to go. So the mummified soldiers go to Rick, and okay, not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure all of us would probably do this though, because it's hilarious and also practical at the same time. Basically, Rick's holding up the sword and he goes, and the mummy soldiers go, their claws drop all the way down their chest, and they roar right back at him, and he just goes, no, and he runs away. Oh, seriously, the look on his face is like, I swear to God, if Brendan Fraser just improv that scene, that was brilliant. That was perfectly brilliant. Like, just runs away. Oh god. So yeah, so Rick is now fighting off the soldiers, and well, John can't control them because Imhotep tells him to actually kill him. So all right, fine. So Rick is fighting them off, and he's basically pointing, well, mostly pointing anyway, and it's ridiculous. And while Jonathan is basically trying to finish off the scripture, he came across one problem. There's a symbol there was a symbol on the scroll he doesn't recognize. Anyway, Evie yells at her like, "What is it exactly?" It's a bird. No, it's a stork. It's a stork. It's called a manifest. Oh, okay, I get it. Thanks. So basically, he finishes the damn curse and in the nick of time too. Sorry, I'm losing my voice there for a second. He finishes the scripture in the nick of time because Rick was about to get killed by the mummy soldiers, and they actually did almost kill him, but their swords actually just touch his cheek or touching his skin like. Oh, okay. So they just get ready and they stand in position, ready to receive orders. Anyway, Imhotep is actually yelling at them to kill Rick. But I gotta be honest here. The one thing I did find that was annoying about this entire movie is that Imhotep is basically speaking entirely in ancient Egyptian. And would it make more sense for him to speak English? I don't know. The filmmakers thought it'd be more authentic that way, but whatever. Anyway, Jonathan actually orders them to actually destroy Anox on the Moon's body, destroy Anox on the Moon completely. And okay, they actually do. Well, Imhotep actually gets to Jonathan, but it was too late because Anox on the Moon's body gets destroyed by the mummified soldiers. And well, he's about to kill John until Rick comes in and cuts his arm off. And what happens is that, well, Imhotep decides to beat the shit out, decides to fight off Rick, and he basically throws him around. While this happened, John actually grabbed the key from Imhotep. So Evie runs to him, they open up the book, and they actually look for the spell real quick to actually undo the curse that was put on Imhotep. And they actually do find the spell. Evie yells out the spell, and of course we see this ghostly cherry come by. It hits Imhotep and drags a spirit version of Imhotep away, which makes no sense. He goes after it, but it just disappears into thin air. So Rick is a little annoyed by this because he thought that spell would kill him, but it didn't. He's still there. So he picks up the sword. Imhotep actually charges at him, and he walks right into the sword, and he stops because he's in pain. It's like, what the? So yeah, Evie basically said it didn't kill. Basically says, no, he's mortal. So the spell actually took away his powers and immortality and made him normal, made him mortal again. Huh. Well, that sucks. So Rick pulls the sword out of Imhotep, and he actually walks right into the dead pool. And yeah, his body actually starts to decay extremely quickly, but he gets the last word in it saying, "Death is only the beginning," in ancient Egyptian. Oh, and now Imhotep is finally dead. To Benny. Yeah, Benny is still dragging more gold out, and he rested on a freaking pillar, which it turns out the pillar was actually the switch to actually have the city cave in on itself. You know what? No comment. Just go on. So our heroes try to escape, but they lose the golden book in the process. But at this point, they don't really give a shit anymore because the city is about to collapse. Anyway, Benny runs into them into the golden throne room. They actually do wind up escaping. Benny gets trapped in the gold room, and we hear Rick say, "Goodbye, Benny." Like, you don't give a shit. And Benny finally gets killed in the movie. Well, let's just say he did kind of deserve it. He's surrounded by all the gold, and the freaking scarabs start showing up anywhere, all over the place. He has a flame, he has a torch, and they're like, "Get away from me! Get away! Go away! Go away!" And there's billions of scarabs coming by him, like, oh shit. And the flame goes out, and all we hear is a crunching noise and him screaming. So yeah, they ate him alive right there on the spot. They make it out. Our heroes make it out of Hamanasha before the whole city collapses. And what happens next? Artist meets them outside and he says, Yes, I made it out. You guys made it out too. May Allah bless you on your journey back and grant you many, many greatness, or something of that nature. So anyway, he leaves them behind, and well, here's a fun fact. They actually do want them leaving on camels, but the camels they leave on were the ones that Benny actually filled with gold. Ah, so they actually took Benny's gold. Thanks, Benny, you fucking asshole. You did something right for once. So yeah, Rick and Evie confess their love. They actually kiss, and the movie ends right there on the spot. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was The Mummy. Is it a good movie? Is it a classic movie? Well, it's a classic '90s action movie, and to be fair, it was actually the start of it did start a massive franchise. The movie was actually made on a gamble, and they think this movie was going to be big at the box office. It was huge at the box office. And even more so, the sequel was even bigger, too. Third one, not so much. But hey, what else? Well, anyway, the movie became such a massive hit, thus spawning a sequel immediately afterwards. Third film came out just a few years after that one. But yeah, it actually became a huge attraction in Universal after a long period of time. So yeah, it actually, and to this day, people want a fourth movie. It's been almost 20. I mean, oh my god, it's 26 years later, and they still want another film. You know what's even more crazy? Brendan Fraser is actually opened up for a fourth film. I mean, I can see that. I mean, if he's open to it, though, I can actually see it happen. Who knows? I mean, if he's in it, I'll go see it. I'm not gonna lie, I would definitely go see it. Not gonna lie. But you know what's even more ridiculous? Knowing that when Universal decided to make the whole thing of the Dark Universe, and they decided to use the Mummy and to bring it back, and they made it more horror-based, like more horror action, it flopped. Yeah, so it's like Universal can't get anything right. So, you know what they could? Here's what Universal should have done exactly. They should have made the entire universe, the whole combined universe thing, but made this the base for it. Yeah, I mean, think about it. They could have had a Frankenstein film that was more action-based, a Dracula film that was all action-based, but based all from the Mummy. They could have done that, and they could have had a combined universe right there on the spot. Oh well, it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. But hey, good movie. I give it a watch if I were you. But you want to know what was even more crazy? Because of the same people were actually originally contacted to a King Kong film back in 1996. I'm not making that part up. Yeah, seriously, there was supposed to be a King Kong film back in '96, and the same people who worked on this film were going to work on that one, and the movie would have been almost identical to this one. Yeah, and believe me, that's a story I want to talk about in the next episode. Okay, but anyway, that's The Mummy. Pure Strength. I highly recommend you guys watch it. It's a really fun film. Anyway, this is Pure Strength. Signing out. I'll see you next time.